What's up? Can you guys hear me? I'm live! Yay! Can you guys hear me? Testing, testing. Can everybody hear? There we go, there's sound. Okay, there's a delay, that's why this isn't working. Okay, well I'm going to go ahead and start. And I just want to let you guys know who I am. My name's Niki Staehle. I'm a senior at Campbell. I've had 3 internships in social media. And I own a blog called Staehle Social. And also I wanted to direct this talk towards people who are admins, blogs, Facebook, Twitter, etc. Or people who are thinking about starting a website, things like that. But I wanted to take the keywords that I have in my title, kind of relate them to specific things that you can do. So, taking non-coercive, obviously we all have the philosophy that we don't want anyone, especially not the government, to coerce us, but that can also be applied towards corporations, mainly Facebook, on the internet. Community, we can define as any group of people coming together for a common purpose. Obviously for us this is to support liberty, so we can do this on forums, comment, discussion threads, and by obtaining fans, followers, or subscribers in various forms. Now networking, that can be obviously online and offline, and what I find is that a lot of people don't know how to use what they should know offline and apply it online. I think we all know that people can lose their manners online. But you can use what you do know about etiquette and syntax and whatever you define as your common purpose to get ahead in that world. And if you're an admin, you're going to learn how to deal with problem users, legal issues, stuff like that. So we're going to go over some of that stuff. Now this is really basic stuff. I'm sure most of you guys know this, but if for any reason you don't, or you're confused about some of the syntax on Twitter, just know that the @, that's like your username. And if you do that, if you put that in a tweet that mentions somebody. So, and then you've got hashtags, which are the pound symbol before a word, and those make your term searchable. So when I tweet my stuff, I usually have liberty, volunteerism, whatever. And another way to do this is, if you want to shorten your links, that's an easy way to track your metrics. What I do is I use bit.ly, which is bit.ly. You can make an account, and all you need to do is copy some links that you want to track clicks on to see how people are interested in it. Put it in there and paste it, and it automatically shortens it for you. So bit.ly is good because they also have a Chrome extension, and I think there's a mobile version of it now too. So, alright, so we're going to talk about etiquette. This is, like I said, something that people confuse and sometimes just outright forget. One of those things online, especially Facebook, since it has so many forum-like qualities, is when you should engage in a conversation. The best thing you can do is, if you know someone, and if you know what you're talking about, go ahead, offer your insights, recommendations, things like that. Get involved, be resourceful, offer resources to the person as far as what to read or look up or whatever. Don't joke around, be opinionated unless you know that whoever is on the thread and owns the thread is going to accept that and they know what you're talking about, because as I'm sure we all know, sarcasm doesn't travel well over the internet. So the last thing you want to do is, you know, offend somebody, then have an argument and that sort of thing. And also because if there's a thread owner who posted something to start a debate, that doesn't mean you should egg them on and participate and go ahead, because they might be starting something and use something they know is going to offend people and just try to get controversy from that. So that's not always an environment that you want to be in. And the lesson from all that is obviously pick your battles. Develop relationships with people in the network before responding to things is a good thing to use. those people are going to be more receptive to your comments in general. So whether you are participating or you're an admin, you can look at what values does your community hold, what's the overall mindset, what's its approach in spreading the word, how quickly do people respond to new posts, things like that. And I found with what I do with Staehle Social, people are very, very quick to respond to things. The page has been growing a lot, and the blog too, since the month plus that I've had it. So you need to keep up with that, and you need to say, well, how are people responding, how quickly, things like that. And we'll get to that later too. I want to do some examples of the power of networking. If you guys read the blog and you've seen the latest post about decentralization and why social media was so important in the revolutions, and that basically proved why decentralization in general, the format that networking is in, is a way to confuse, out-manipulate dictatorial governments because they can't keep up with it. And that was an aid in the revolutions. It didn't cause it, but it certainly helped it out, and it made it impossible for governments to start tracking, and they lost so much control they had to completely shut it down in some cases. So that's definitely a way that it can be done. So you've got ease of use, speed, decentralized format, and you've got government, which is the opposite. So those are some great examples, and if you want to look at all my posts and stuff, a lot of them deal with the revolutions. Advanced networking, this is a section that I put in to address the lack of manners that people have. One thing you want to do when you are posting stuff, and this is especially true on Facebook because you've got, I think, 420 or 460 characters that you can use. And no matter what you're writing, you want to be very clear and concise, but you want to also gear your vocabulary and ideas toward your audience's knowledge and experience. And I found that being a business major, having taken at least 5-6 econ courses, sometimes stuff can go over people's heads, and they don't know what you're talking about. If you use too many economic or business terms or whatever, they don't know what that is. So sometimes if you've got the general public that's in there, you've got to think about what their knowledge level may or may not be for that. So you have to adjust. And you're also looking at some people who may have gone to college and dropped out, or people who are older and it's been a while since they took college courses. So you've got to keep in mind, like, they might have some knowledge, but there might be some gaps in there. So, but also, obviously, if you use language that's too simplistic, then people are going to feel like that you're being insulting, so you want to watch that too. So the main thing with that is to do research on your audience. Like, make sure you know what types of people are going to be interested. Expect something, and then when you start getting an audience, make sure that you also adjust to that if it differs from what your research was. So obviously the main point from that is to know your audience. And then once they start getting involved, get to know them. You know, because if they feel like you're responding to them and they can talk to you, they're going to ask you questions. And obviously get more involved with your stuff. They're going to be supportive of your material. They're going to help spread the word too. And that's something else we'll talk about later. Follow-ups. Okay, a lot of people do this. They start accounts on Twitter, Facebook, whatever, and they leave it, or they just, you know, respond to people by saying thanks for the follow, whatever. They send one message and they don't talk to the person or try to develop a relationship at all. And the most important thing, if you don't get anything else out of this talk, that I can tell you is that social media is all about relationships. It's not about how many followers you have or how many friends you have, whatever. It's about relationships and developing those relationships with people, and how that applies to the real world, as much as people don't want to make it that. So that's why it's so important to be genuine. Be genuine. I cannot emphasize that enough. Do not be bland or fake. Don't be one of those people that's like, yeah, go ahead and follow me, and like throw all this stuff at them and like spam them with stuff, and then don't like reciprocate at all. So just remember to remind your community members that you appreciate what they're doing for you, and if they have materials of their own, stuff like that, then be sure that you go ahead and support that too, because obviously they would be great to have you do that, and they're going to continue to support you through that. So also some stuff about notifications. I know some people are bad with this or don't quite understand it. If someone tweets you or you get a notification from them on Facebook, respond as soon as you can. That doesn't mean like, oh my god, I have to respond to this right now, but just as soon as you can, because if you just like leave it there and don't do anything with it, I find that I forget about things. So you want to make sure that you keep up with it. And some ways to do that are, if you've got an Android phone or an iPhone, you've got some apps on there obviously that you can use. Some of the official apps are not that great. They might look great, but I find them to be really laggy, so I wouldn't always use those. I usually use Seismic, sometimes Hootsuite. So there's different ways that you can do that. And also, obviously, Facebook emails you with every type of notification. So if you want to go to your account settings, make sure you have a bunch of stuff configured so that Facebook can send you an email when certain things happen if you know that people will be responding to stuff. So that's one way to expect it and to respond to it. So types of networking, I wanted to put this in here because I got a question about this today. Should you do a group or a page on Facebook? And I said pages are more open and visible. There's more frequent updates. Metrics are available. That's probably the most important point I can make about that, is that you have the page insights and you can actually export all this data week by week, month by month, whatever. So also, if you've got an office that you want to put on Facebook Places, Facebook will merge that place, the location, with your page. So that's a one-stop shopping for your business. Facebook also just added questions to pages, and I've been experimenting with this today. So this is also a great tool to replace some of the popular survey apps that are time-consuming. And also, it's kind of retarded that if you want to do this thing or that thing with your page that Facebook doesn't allow you to do, you have to go through this app or that app, and we'll also talk about that later. That includes Twitter. Groups will let you upload documents, and there's group chat. But I find that some of the larger groups that I'm on, people just post and post and post. There's all these notifications that come up. So I'm not really as inclined to go to those groups. Some people may find that they don't really care about that, but I know that that's just too close to spam for me. So that I'd rather have a page that has updates from between 1 and 3 admins that's more focused, so like whatever the service is or the view that they have. So yeah, pages over groups anytime. Alright, so here's some of the tough stuff we're going to get into. And this is about picking your battles, but also dealing with tough people that get on your site, wherever you are, and troll you. And they don't agree with what you're saying, but they just want to be in there and have their own opinion and try to destroy everything and dismantle it, okay? We've all seen this. You can go onto like any thread anywhere, YouTube, Facebook, whatever, you name it, and someone's going to be starting some crap with somebody else just for the sake of it. So here's what some people forget, especially if you're an admin. You do have the ability to respond to these people calmly if you're allowing their opinions, but they also have a right by your policies to post their opinion. Okay, obviously certain restrictions on that, offensive language and inappropriate content, but that depends on what your terms of service is if you own your own site. So if you find that someone is violating a terms of service, what should you do? Because think about it, a lot of us just click agree on the terms of service stuff, especially on Facebook, and that we don't really think about what it actually involves. So it's really important when you do that. And I think that now when you do that on Facebook, there are restrictions, like you can't report your friends just for harassing you because Facebook will not believe you, because there's too many of those requests. So if you're an admin and you have your own site and you know that someone is for a fact violating your terms of service, you have a right to ban them from the site. Okay, and some people might look at this and be like, isn't this coercive? Well, no, it's really not, because if you have established rules, and not status rules like super structure, but if you have some basic rules that are written out so that people can define them. See, the thing is about online stuff is that offline we wouldn't have to do this necessarily, because there's assumed things, there's like unwritten rules, but on the internet it's got to be written because people don't know and they'll ignore it. So if someone is showing a basic lack of etiquette, you have to have it written up. It's like a contract, and by using your site after agreeing to that, that person is contracted with you to be an agreeable user by reasonable standards. Okay, so if they violate it, you do have the right, as spelled out in whatever your contract is with users, to take action against them. Okay, so it's not coercive in that way, but it's more contract based. If someone did this, if an admin just went out of their power and removed somebody like completely unwarranted, that would be coercive and against the rules. But the point of being an admin is to know what you're doing when you manage your community. So you need to abide by the rules of your own contract, just as your users do, or else that's pretty hypocritical. Alright, so legal disputes. What if somebody does violate my terms of service? Alright, so what you want to do here is make sure you write your terms of service and have extremely clear language. Because if people read it, they're going to understand what it is. They can't say in court, well, I didn't understand. And you can't be like, well, obviously, no, you didn't, because it's very simple. So I find that in a lot of the contracts, they give clarity with their terms, like user, company, stuff like that. But a lot of it is so convoluted, it's all legal jargon, so you want to avoid that. And that's why people don't like to read them, is because they're insanely complicated. So all you have to do for most sites is what? Check a box, and you're in. So you've just got to make sure when you write it that you've got to have reasonable standards for people, and just make it tough to violate. Like, somebody would have to really go out of their way to violate it, okay? And again, make it easy language. Don't give them like a laundry list of things they can't do, because that's like a little bit like a nanny state, and we're going to get into like Facebook and how they do this too. So those are some of the things you want to do. And there's also Facebook and Twitter, their terms of service. We're not going to go into that all the way because it's really complicated. But here's some stuff from the Facebook terms page. It says, this statement of rights and responsibilities statement derives from the Facebook and governs our relationship with users and others who interact with Facebook. By using or accessing Facebook, you agree to this statement. Okay, but then we get into like the Facebook principles, which you can look up from the terms page. And I want to highlight some. There's like 10 of these, okay, but I want to highlight some of them. Number 2 is people should own their information. They should have the freedom to share it with anyone they want and take it with them anywhere they want, including removing it from the Facebook service. People should have the freedom to decide with whom they will share their information and to set privacy controls to protect those choices. Those controls, however, are not capable of limiting how those who have received information may use it, particularly outside of the Facebook service. It's weird, okay? And as we all know, Facebook has had some pretty intense lawsuits from privacy issues. Facebook should publicly make available, this is the transparent process, information about its purpose, plans, policies, and operations. Facebook should have a town hall process of notice and comment and a system of voting to encourage input and discourse on amendments to these principles or to the rights and responsibilities. Alright, so that's the stuff that I'm kind of like, Facebook, I don't know, because we all know that Facebook really doesn't give a shit about our privacy. And I can't even like start on that because there's so much information with that. But some people will argue, okay, is Facebook's status in enforcing all these many rules? Or is it necessary because it's a large network? What are the negative effects for too many rules? You know, and obviously people are going to complain no matter what, but I think some people have argued the converse, which is that Facebook is libertarian because they actually allow you to accept wherever your data goes. Well, okay, fine. But the fact that there are so many restrictions on what you can and can't do, like there's some stuff now, like for questions, you can't even include links. Like that's just one of the many things. That's a very basic example of, and also when I mentioned before about blocking people, how you can't just say this person's harassing me. They don't give you a wide list of parameters to say this person is being offensive to me because. So there's just a lot of things with that people don't like, and I don't even like. We can go into Twitter. Well, I do want to mention one thing before that, is that if you are really seriously tired of Facebook and all their rules and regulations, there is Diaspora. That's an open source network. You need to have an invite from somebody. But I think I still have some left. Just Facebook me and I can give you one if you want to try it out. And it's pretty neat. It's very, there's not a whole lot of people on it yet, but it's a Facebook-like interface. If you're a coder, it's open source, and you can go to GitHub and get the code and modify it how you want. You can also download your data. You got XML and photos that you can download. And there's no third-party apps. That's the best one. Okay, so Twitter. Twitter is pretty interesting. I'm going to take some of this stuff, because there was a section on from Twitter. Here it is. That was a little bit shocking to me. Dealing with terms violations. Number 1, impersonation problems. So you've got problems with people that are pretending to be somebody and making an account to do that. Number 2 is trademark or business name squatting. Number 3 is find out why accounts are suspended. So there's some interesting stuff on there. Privacy policies. And what I found most interesting was they have a page just for law enforcement to request information on you. So if they feel, I guess, that you're doing anything suspicious, they can request information on you. I thought that was pretty sadist. So hopefully in the future we'll see more open source networks kind of popping up as people figure out how to code them and hopefully figure out a way to get low overhead. See, the thing is, these networks grow so fast, the overhead shoots through the roof because they get so many users and they need more servers and stuff like that. So that's an issue. So, alright, putting it all together, you've got your philosophy. You want to be philosophically, have your integrity, so that when you interact with people and you deal with the problems of trolls or whoever on your site, then they can't say, oh, you're a hypocrite or whatever, and you deal with them politely and with the proper conduct as prescribed by your philosophy. So obviously, voluntarist, agorist, whatever, there's no coercion there. So we also need to know our community, have social integrity, as I said, just be prepared for your audience and like know what they want, know what they're interested in and what their level of education is. Attention span, most people, there's some people that are like extremely educated and do like to read diatribes on stuff, but most people are like, alright, whatever, and they have like 2 seconds to read it. So be a savvy networker. That's the other thing. Use the right syntax on whatever site you're on, tagging people, stuff like that. Tag people in appropriate posts. Don't like, you know, have some kind of inappropriate inside joke and tag everybody, stuff like that. Etiquette. Don't be mean to people. As I said, be polite. Know what the rules are in terms of for each network for, you know, how to reply to somebody. What are things that you can include, such as Twitter, you know, hashtags, things like that. Because if you go on there and you don't know what the rules are, you're just going to look like an idiot. If you're an admin, develop a simple enough terms of service, as we discussed, so that people cannot go in court and say, well, you know, I didn't read it, it's too hard to understand. And make it like really hard to violate, so they can't go, oh, you know, I did this, but they wouldn't let me. You know, just stuff like that. They have to go out of their way to do it. So basically, just don't give people an edge over you. That's what it is. Okay. So I think there are a few things that I do want to go over still. I feel like I need to cover more of Twitter because I did a lot of Facebook. And WordPress too. I'm going to do WordPress. I have just started using WordPress. I haven't used it extensively really before this blog, but I'm having a lot of fun with like the stats and stuff like that. And there is, as far as Android, there's an app that you can get that shows you your stats and stuff in real time. So when you create your blog, you're going to get a sidebar of tons of things that you can look at. Let me go to the right. I have like a million tabs open here. Tons of things that you can look at, and you got your posts and your tools and all your little things and gizmos and gadgets and stuff you can use. And there's a thing where you can include donations to a nonprofit as a widget. I put a Twitter widget in mine, which you can go and get and just put in your handle, and it pulls up your latest tweets, and you can choose what part of the page you want it to go on. Now in the stats, they're the most interesting thing because they will show you where people went to your blog from, who they were referred by, what are the most popular posts, things like that, what links have you posted that they've clicked on, things like that. So I'm getting, like my stats for today, 2 people came from Facebook. People, search engine terms, people searched Malcolm Gladwell, Libya, social revolutionaries, decentralized. So that pulled up some of my posts because I have those keywords in there and tags and stuff. So it shows you how many views for today or yesterday or even the whole week you can do, and it gives you like a graph. And some of this stuff I think you can export to. But it'll tell you pretty much anything you want to know, except here's the problem I have with it, is there's under total subscriptions and shares, you go to the shares tab, it'll tell you like where someone shared it and how many, and like what post they shared, but it doesn't tell you who did it. So that's the thing that I have. Alright, here's a question. What do you think of GPS social network apps like the new color.com? I haven't used color.com. Location-based stuff is something that I really, really love as far as Foursquare and stuff like that. I have the app, and I find that a lot of people don't know what this even is. Joseph, I don't know if you've like talked to people that have done Foursquare and stuff like that, but I try to use it as much as possible. That kind of ties in with what I said about the places. If you've got a business that has like a physical office, stuff like that, or you're going to an event, like here's an example. Tomorrow, Ron Paul is speaking at NC State, okay, which is maybe like 30 minutes from my house. And I can go there, I can check into NC State, and I can say, oh, I'm listening to Ron Paul speak, I can attach a photo, whatever. That's the benefit of it, is you can say, I'm here, this is what's going on, and people can view it. And the good thing is, if your friends don't directly use Foursquare, you can post it to Twitter, to Facebook, and pretty much anywhere you want, and it automatically goes there. So that's what I like about it. Foursquare, I use Gowalla occasionally. Yelp is another good one if you want to find out local places and stuff like that. So, but again, that's more useful on a regular basis if you've got like an office or like regular events that you go to. I think those are like the main GPS-based apps that I have. What is Facebook current policy on kicking groups off? I really don't know. I mean, Facebook, from what I do know about people getting kicked off and like canceled or blocked or whatever, that's more for like if you spam people a lot, and you've got to be careful. I think the limit is 5,000 friends for a profile. I've never heard of Facebook suspending somebody because they were a particular political belief, stuff like that. But if Facebook catches you like messaging people a lot, like a ton of people at once, that's really the thing that sets them off. And I had a friend that happened to actually before, and he had to like start all over again. So that's another part of the rules and statism that Facebook has that I really do not like. Because I think if you have someplace like, hopefully as Diaspora grows, that's open source, they will give you more control over that and say, oh, you can have as many friends as you want or whatever. But there's so much to be done with that. I hope Diaspora really grows, because I think it was started by 2 or 3 guys that were like in college that basically said, what's Facebook not doing, or why are people tired of Facebook, you know, and did it themselves. So hopefully there will be more collaborations and stuff too. Alright, in case I missed any questions, I want to kind of get a head start on this and go through and look at them. Yes, Facebook does need to be replaced, Joseph, thank you. Would a 100% private user-controlled Facebook competitor be popular? Well, I think it would be. I really think it would be, because Diaspora is pretty much that right now. But if you had one that was bigger than that was incorporated, that's a good issue, because that's what Facebook started out as. There weren't a whole lot of rules, and it was, except for in the beginning you had to have like a college email address. That's what it was. But user-controlled content, that's what Diaspora is right now, because they let you pick and choose who you want to display stuff to, and you're not required to enter this data or that data to use stuff, whatever. But hopefully, as I said, that will be a thing in the future, and more people will incorporate and hopefully have pretty lax rules as to what people can do. I think there's just a lot of fear once you get to be a big network that the users will take over, so to speak, and they're going to do their own thing and be crazy with it and be just out of control. You're welcome. So, and that's the most important point that I can see is Facebook being status, because it's like you're afraid of your own population. Oh, well, they might do something out of control. We have to control them, right? So, if you trust people and you treat them like adults, I mean, they're going to be fine. That's really what it is the expectations theory. So, or a self-fulfilling prophecy, whatever you want to call it. That's really what it is. So, I really sincerely hope that someone else will capitalize on this and understand it, because Facebook doesn't. Still don't quite understand why Facebook, Twitter, etc. are more popular than email. It's a sort of web page with pictures. Okay, Carol, I think really the best explanation for this is to make fun of people, because they have a very short attention span. I think as technology moved forward, people said, well, email's too many words. And people started getting so many emails because email was the only venue for something for a very long time. And people were like, well, everything's here, I'm not going to look at this, I'm not going to look at this, I'm going to delete this. So then it became, how can I broadcast the information in a very small amount of characters, but still inform people, right? or still tell people, hey, I'm sitting here drinking coffee or whatever, just something basic. People tried to, I guess, compartmentalize all the information and break it down even further and further and further until it was like, it was literally called microblogging and back in the day. And I remember when Twitter first started up, I was like, oh, I'm not going to use that because that's ridiculous. People, and there's still people who are using it for stupid reasons, but now once you figure out how to do it for business and you figure out how to network with people who are on the same page as you are, and you find those profiles and you message them and mention them and tell them, hey, this is going on, and develop relationships with them, that's a whole other thing. But most people don't do that. They just care about broadcasting what they're doing, stuff like that. And this is one of the things that we discussed in one of the clubs that I'm in my business school, is we actually watched The Social Network for a movie night, and we discussed afterwards, you know, just looking at Facebook itself, isn't this kind of a one-way street, because communication should be two-way, you know? But people are just using it to broadcast what they want to do, and they don't really care, you know, what everybody else is about to say. They mostly care they just get the information out there. So it's really not as give and take as communication should be. It's more like self-focused, like, oh, I just care about what I'm doing, you know. And then obviously there's people who just post stuff just to post it so they can get a reaction. And that's a little different, but that's still two-way communication for the wrong reasons. So, and I do want to talk a little bit more about Twitter, I guess, because I feel like besides the GPS applications, Twitter is one of the ones that people really don't know a lot about, because I find that most people, especially at my school, are on Facebook and they don't know really much about Twitter or Foursquare. And that's why I tried to address the syntax with the hashtags and everything and the usernames in the beginning. And now we're seeing some other services that are a little bit like Twitter, like Quora. Quora is a good way to go and learn things. So I'll give you guys that. And it's basically, you go on there and it's like Facebook questions, I guess. And you can go by topic, and you can participate in discussions and put answers to questions, and then you get notifications like this person also answered, and people can vote up answers, stuff like that. So there's all kinds of discussions on there, social media, whatever. So that would be a good forum to do it too. Twitter isn't nearly as focused as that, but if you find the right profiles, as I said, you can get into some good conversations with people, and you can learn about their projects, promote what they're doing. And especially with what I do, where I try to focus, at least recently, on the revolutions in the Middle East, like, I found so many accounts that tweet live from on the ground, or people who have friends that are doing it. So you can see the timeline of what people are doing over there. And they'll say things like, oh my god, you know, internet's down here or whatever, and they'll compare, like, by region or country what's going on. So that's a really, really important part of it. And then obviously the fact that you can search different keywords and stuff, that helps you really, really narrow down what you want to do. Like, if people knew about the Agora.io hashtag that's for this conference, they can just, you know, go and search all the tweets that are happening from there. So it's a huge benefit. There are still obviously a lot of people who go to Twitter and say this is useless. And for some of it is, but, you know, here's a tip: ignore the trending topics, because those are where the really ignorant people are talking about high school stuff. Like, I'm not even kidding, okay? Like, one of the hashtags was like, high school taught me something or other today. So, I mean, I just try to, like, look at it and be like, okay, but ignore it. Like, don't even go to the tweets, because that's going to be a very good example of people that don't know what they're talking about, and they're wasting time on Twitter, and they're just a very bad example. So just don't. But what you want to do is, you know, if you already know people, look at who they're following. Who are they in contact with, and how can those people help you? That type of thing. But this also goes back to, obviously, don't spam people, stuff like that. So that's something you want to do. And look at, you can research popularity of hashtags. That's one of the good things I can tell you to do with Twitter. What I do is go to hashtags.org, and you can look at stuff like liberty, whatever, and see the popularity of it, how many people are searching for it, and if you use it, your tweets will show up in their timeline. So it's a pretty popular site, and that's a good way to do it too. So, how to market an app or device to get around the government shutting down the internet. That is... oh my god. Alright, hold on. Well, I'm not a programmer, But I think it would be interesting to kind of see a black market go up for these type of things and sell them to people who are overseas. Now, of course, some people are like, they might be doing that in the U.S. I don't think that that's going to happen quite yet, at least, but that would actually be a good idea for a time, and I'm pretty sure the government would find out about it here and make it illegal, because, you know, one of the stories that I submitted to Current was about a company based in, like, I think California, that was owned by Boeing, that was basically giving, I think it was the Egyptian government, like, money to spy on its users online. So that's something to consider, is there might already be a lot of security around that, more so than we think. So even though I'm like, yeah, that's an awesome idea, I don't know how long it would be before they're onto it, because government is unfortunately more insidious than we think it is. But I do know, I've heard of people that are, they don't have apps or devices, but they have like their own networks, I guess like ad hoc networks that they've made to supply internet to people overseas who aren't getting it. And actually, if you go to my blog, staehlesocial.wordpress.com, I'll put it in there for you. There's a widget that I put in there, and it is called, I haven't really used it yet, but I put it on there because I was going to look at it and actually start a campaign for it. It's a nonprofit that gives internet access to people who don't have it. So if you donate that money, that's what it goes towards. So when you go to it, it's at like the top left, and you can look at it. So that's one of the things that I find particularly interesting, is that, yeah, there is a need to be met, but we still need to be very careful with how we do it. Carol says, you're convincing me I just got to study and learn these systems to get the word out, but I will have to watch out for spammer habits. Yeah, you will, and I can't, it's very tempting, I can't tell you how tempting it is to do that, but you've really got to be careful because of those rules. And hopefully, like I said, in the future, people won't need to make those rules and try to control what people can do and can't do. But I would say not even just study, I would say just practice using them. If you are experiencing a learning curve, then the best thing you can do is very hands-on, just get in there and even create like a practice account, like a fake account, and just start exploring it, find out what you can do, things like that. Because, and here's the thing, is like not so much Twitter, but Facebook is constantly adding and changing stuff, like the questions, they just added the questions to pages. They're just all the time, stuff just automatically changes. So, I mean, you can fool around with that, and you can see what you want to do, or even with, like, WordPress. WordPress is something you just got to get your hands on and just mess around with it and see what you can do. You can do all kinds of cool stuff with it. And you can add stuff to it, things like that. Now, here is, I'm going to give you guys, this is a friend of mine who actually was supposed to speak today, but he had to cancel, unfortunately. This is one of his blogs, Michael Shanklin. He is voluntaryvirtues.com, which is a super great resource for anything libertarian and political philosophy. And there's, when you go to it, he's got a lot of widgets on there, which are a very good example of how to do that. And he's got, there's like a chat, I think it might be Amiibo chat too, that's on there. And he's got tons of stuff. He's got a counter on there that is calculating the U.S. debt, which is pretty awesome. So, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff you can add to it. Facebook, just confusing. I've got a personal page, a couple groups, a community. Well, it is confusing. Yeah, it is. They do change it a lot, and it is confusing. I can get back to the question that I got about should I make a group or a page. So you've got a personal page, Carol? Like a, some people, see, I call like friend stuff profiles, and there's personal pages, which is like for your business. A couple groups, a community group. Alright, what I can recommend to you is, what you have to discern is really, like, who am I marketing to? Do I want to market a product or service? Like, for my blog, I said, well, you know, it's my personal blog. I want it to be like a service that I'm providing to people. So that was why, and also because I need to measure the users that are on the page. And I have several pages that I run for my internships and stuff. So that's one reason why. If you have a group of people who all know each other, who are in there for a common purpose already, like, who are from a study group or something like that, Okay. Then I would recommend that you put them in a group, and it's doubtful they're all going to be online at the same time. Even though that was the idea behind the group chat, I found that I don't really use it because not a lot of people are on there at the same time. So I just, as I said before, groups, the bigger they get, the more you have to deal with kind of the spam factor, and there's a lot of posts being sent at once. So, and if you've got your email notifications turned on, you will get like a ton of stuff in your inbox at once, and I just enjoyed a bunch of groups because it was really annoying. And it's harder to see because you have a lot of characters you can use in a group, and people just, because it's not a page, people just kind of ramble on and go, oh, this and this and this. I'm like, I don't really care. So you've got a ton of posts that are there, and you have to look down and find the really important stuff, whereas a page, it's run by admins. I mean, a group has admins too, but you don't have to add people to be in the group, and they're all kind of chatting as friends. That's what I find the difference is that groups are more for people who already know each other, who are already kind of friends, and then pages are more for, like, I don't want to say consumer, but that's kind of what it is consumer versus, you know, product, service. That's kind of the relationship that it has. Is you have to act like you're a business, and it creates that sort of professional distance to where 1 to 3 admins can say, alright, announcement, we got this new product or new service out today, and they can give you the links that you need to click on, and they can track the links and whatever. So, I mean, if you did that in a group, I think it would be taken the wrong way. I think it would be like, oh, like advertising. So, it really just depends on what you want to do. Alright, and Carol, I'm going to add you because any of you guys, if you add me on Facebook, or you can go to the Staehle social page, you can ask me any more questions that you have. I try to consult with people on this and just give them advice, because a lot of people I find like kind of know what they're doing or don't really know yet, and they need a lot of help. And especially in the Liberty community, I think it's kind of a big deal because it's sort of new. But once you get involved with it, there's a lot of people who are there to help you. Like, I have found so many people who wanted to help me. I was very, very surprised. So I feel the least I can do is help other people. And I will give you, on Facebook, you can go to and search. You can search Staehle Social or Social Media for Liberty. And I will give you the Facebook for it real quick. That's one way. Alright, so I've got about maybe 60 people on there so far. This is part-time for me because I'm in college full-time, but I try to manage it when I can and post stuff. And once I look at somebody new that has liked the page, I'll add them as a friend. This is a good practice to do if you've got a page. Add them as a friend and follow up with them and say, you know, thanks for whatever your purpose is. Thanks for supporting us. And give them some links and follow up with them, and, you know, encourage people to post on your page, things like that, or you can get discussions going. And a good way to do that now, since Facebook just did this, is to use the questions tab. I don't think that pages have a notes tab. You might be able to add one. No, they don't, just kidding. One more thing about Facebook is if you've got a page and you want to add your Twitter account to it, you can use Smart Pages, which is an app, a third party, if you're okay with using those, that will let you, it's supposed to let your tweets show up on your Facebook page. And you can do the opposite too. Facebook itself will let you sync your Facebook and Twitter accounts so that your Twitter account pulls your posts from your Facebook account. And I don't really recommend doing this because people just kind of use it as fallback. They're like, alright, I don't have to tweet now, I can just use this. Well, what's going to happen when you pull text from your Facebook is, well, it's for Facebook. It's not going to be optimized for Twitter text, which means it's not going to have hashtags. It's not going to have mentions. Because obviously, if we all know, if you tag somebody on Facebook, it just shows up as the blue text. The @ symbol doesn't. So, and the names are different too. So that's one thing that kind of makes me mad about that, when people rely on that. So, yeah, if you've got a page, don't link it to Twitter. You can use Smart Pages for Twitter if you want your tweets to show up, but I find it's just easier to just post in the syntax of that particular medium. That's really the best thing you can do, is because if you try to integrate, it's not that you shouldn't have multiple accounts, but it's just that if you do, you need to like be specific with them and devote time to them, because if you try to integrate this and that, you've got a million posts that are the same thing, or you've got stuff that's not the right syntax for that site. Because it's not like if you've got a tweet that shows up on Facebook, you can go to it and click on it, and the hashtag or whatever is going to show up. I mean, you've got to go to the Twitter anyway, whatever profile it is they have. So, alright, I'm adding you guys on Facebook. That's just my opinion on that. Some people would disagree with me on that, I am sure. But, they can just do whatever they want with that, because everybody's got their level of comfort, and everybody's got their level of skill. So that's what it is. What was it that got me started with the freedom movement? We need to market to more young people. Yes, we do. That was part of what got me. I can tell you, Mike Shanklin was a big inspiration to me, and he's doing so much stuff with all his blogs. He's really got it down. He's been doing that for a while, recruiting people and posting. He does videos and blog posts and all kinds of stuff. He has, you can look up Mike Shanklin on there, or Voluntary Virtues page, or the Peace, Freedom, Prosperity. But that was part of what got me started, but the other part was that I felt there needed to be somebody representing the role of social media in liberty, which is mostly geared towards young people, because I'm not sure that a lot of people understand that relationship. Social media was so important in the revolutions that people are still kind of trying to figure it out, and they're still discussing, and I'm sure there are still plenty of people that believe Malcolm Gladwell was right. Well, he wasn't, but there's still going to be people that believe that because they don't have the knowledge or the openness to figure that out. So definitely more young people. And this is even prevalent at college. I can tell you, my college people just don't really care. They're just like Facebook, but they're not really hip into like Twitter and Foursquare and stuff. They just are like apathetic about it. So, but I find like there's a lot of student groups, like Students for Liberty, Young Adults for Liberty, stuff like that, that are really great with mobilizing people. And it's Young Adults for Liberty that are doing the Ron Paul thing tomorrow. So props to them for that. And that's part of what it is when you network, you're going to find people who are, you know, your same age or whatever, who are willing to help you. One of the first things that I did was I went to online, Cato on Campus. That's one of the posts that's on my blog too. They had a seminar that was about just that, the role of in the revolutions, what social media did for it. And I attended that online, and then I got in touch with the organizer and said, how can I better promote this, things like that. And so you actually, as you get involved with other students or college organizations, it can help you to develop relationships and say, what else can I do to promote this? So at my school, we have the Adam Smith Club, which is part of the chair of our department, which is basically about teaching free market economics, which is really good because a lot of business schools don't have that. They're very liberal. Our school is just really lucky to have that program. So that's kind of what we try to do, is we try to have the events and stuff and host lectures so that people can learn more about liberty concepts. Need updated charts showing differences between pages, groups, community groups, etc., different features. Yeah, some of these publications, like All Facebook, are good. There's a couple other ones. One of the really good ones I found is Social Media Today. That was where the source that I used for one of my first posts. They had this really awesome story. Social Media Today is legit. I mean, they've just got so many things on here. But here is, okay, Carol sent this. This is All Facebook, saying Facebook groups versus pages definitive guide. And it's basically, if you want to go to the link that she just posted, it just shows you some features. Like it'll say, groups allowed for mass messaging, indexed by Google, stream publishing. Pages, yeah, that's true. Pages, you can't mass message people. But it is true that whenever you post a status update, it goes to people's updates. So anyone who's a fan of the page is going to see it in their updates, and hopefully in their stream if they interact with you. Targeted stream posts. Yes, pages do have targeted stream posts. Targeted updates. Support for applications, yes. Event inbox messaging for groups. Metrics, that's another thing I mentioned about pages. Promotional widgets for pages. So, see, that's more the business side of it, and that's why I just said that, was because pages, it's really a consumer and business relationship, even if you're just an individual providing a service. So that's a start. But yeah, it does need to be updated, but I think as they do more of the question stuff, that might add some stuff to it too. And let me see about some support for applications. We already talked about third-party apps and why they're stupid and what they do with your data. And I don't have time to get into all the lawsuits and things that happen with the lack of privacy for those things. One more thing I did want to mention is that your news stream, or news feed, whatever you want to call it in Facebook, is, some people don't know this, but they have it optimized so it's automatically set to the people that you interact with most. People in pages and groups and whatever. So you're going to see a consistent group of people who are going to interact with you and who you're going to see in your stream. And you can adjust it. There are settings to make it the people that you interact with most, but there's a couple of other. If you click on the little arrow next to most recent, go to edit options. And there's a list of people that you've hidden posts from. Okay, that's not a big deal. Pages, but it says show posts from. Okay, so when you can click on friends and pages you interact with most, or you can click all your friends and pages. So if you really want to see a mishmash of stuff from everybody, go ahead. But if you are still cool with interacting with a select group of people, then that will work best for you. And that's what I have mine set on, is because I feel it's the same group of people that pretty much are committed to liberty, who are going to interact with my page and stuff that I'm doing. And those are the people that I interact with most, because we have that relationship where we support each other, and where we just care about what the other one is doing and we look to forward that cause. So if anybody else has any questions, I will take them. I am looking at some of the Facebook posts that I got. Thanks, Jim. So yeah, I look forward to connecting with you guys after this, and any other questions you have about any social media issues, whatever, you can ask me. And you can, if you got Twitter, you can tweet me, or just post on Facebook, or go to the Staehle Social page and you can post there. I'm looking at starting some new series on that, and one of them is going to be about medical marijuana, and some of it might be like examples of what people at different schools are doing with their college groups. There's just a lot of stuff I found that I want to cover, and I'm trying to just do it in small increments so I don't get overwhelmed with it. But yeah, and if you ever find anything in that topic that you think would be of use to me or anybody else, definitely send it my way, because that's one of the most useful things. And someone actually, real quick, I think I have 5 minutes before I gotta log off. Somebody sent me a really cool video that I want to share with you guys. Here it is. It was Pete Eyre, so thanks to him. Social media stumps traditional media, and it was like a journalist talking about why social media has become so popular over traditional media. So I'm gonna send you guys the YouTube for that. Hold on a second. There it is. Alright. And that was really cool. I don't have time to cover everything I wanted to cover, but this might be really good for you. It's a very interesting interview, and I just thought that was funny because in colleges today, including mine, a lot of the journalism and media departments they teach traditional media, and they're like, oh, our department is still so cool because, and they just think that the traditional stuff is going to thrive, and they're not adapting to these changes, so that's also an issue. Carol says, I've got 100 plus people who want to be friends, who mostly, I don't know, I always feel like, do I want these strangers reading my stuff so I don't friend them? Smart. That is very smart, Carol. Keep doing that. You know why? Because I do that too. I don't add anybody who I don't know. I've got to have mutual friends. Because other than that, it just seems like usually it's guys, honestly. I just feel like guys are stalking me or something if they do that. So I'm not really open to that. Unless someone explicitly says, hey, I saw you or met you at this. I won't add you unless you have friends in common with me, so don't worry about that. You're doing the right thing. And it's, I hate to say this, but it's especially important for women, because there are a lot of creepers on Facebook, and I've had to block a lot of them. People that will just they just message you out of nowhere, and you don't even really know them. So, sometimes even one mutual friend isn't quite enough either. I guess I would say a minimum of 5 mutual friends is enough. Because, as I said, even if it's one person, well, what if you don't even know that one person very well? It's not really that good of a screening tool. So, if you know what the one person really well, that might be different. Or maybe you don't know the other 4+ people that are mutual friends, but you know one of them really well, and you know they would only be friends with really good people. So just, yeah, be careful of that. So I hope this has been very informative to you guys, whether you are an admin right now or you are just starting or thinking about being an admin on a blog or Twitter or Facebook. But yeah, as I said, definitely check out that video, check out Quora, and if you've got knowledge in a particular area, go ahead and be active and answer some questions. Or if you want to learn some Facebook or Twitter stuff, go ahead and just start fooling around with it, even WordPress. I'm thinking about just sending them a message and saying, hey, join my group, because that's the only important thing I'm doing. Well, if they have friends in common with you, Carol, who are of the same interest, yeah, you could send them that way. But overall, you just got to be careful, because people are creepers, as I said, and they might not really care about that. They just might want to stalk you, so just be careful. But yeah, alright, so I have enjoyed this. You guys, thank you for participating, and I hope that we can definitely follow up and get to know each other better after this. So you can post any other questions you have on my Facebook wall or tweet them to me, or you can post them as a comment on the blog or on the Staehle social page, Facebook page. And also, if you have any other articles you want to share them. Any advice, anything that you have experience in that you can share with me, and I can share it with my community, that would be really cool too. So thank you to everybody who attended, and also to George Donnelly for putting in lots and lots of hard work to make this conference a reality for everybody this weekend. And I will see you guys soon. Alright, let me figure out how to log off this thing. Thank you guys.